and welcome to my West Africa final project. Today we will be exploring the world, particularly Western Africa. So, yeah. But first, before we do any of that, we have to go through geography. So, cut to you, Soria, who is in the backyard ready to cover geography. Hello. Today you're joining me from not West Africa, and today I'm going to talk about West African geography. So the first thing, the northernmost thing in West African geography is the inhospitable Sahara Desert. Here you can see the Sahara Desert. What do you mean you can't? Okay, fine. There's the Sahara Desert. So the Sahara Desert is very inhospitable. It's always hot, and nothing can grow there. Nothing can survive there, and I wouldn't want to live there. So, all right, moving on to the next part. The next part is the Sahel. It's like the Sahara, except plants can grow there. Something can live, so it's better. But it's still not the best. It's slightly more south of the Sahara. Now, the next place that we can go is the plains. The plains are pretty flat. There's lots of grasses, and the Niger River flows through here, meaning you can grow things. Well, you could grow things in the other one as well, but they wouldn't be as good. All right. Over here we have the woodland forests, even more south of that. So the woodland forests, there's trees, and they're woodland trees, so they're like temperate type. They're not like rainforest trees. Here most things can grow, and the trees are very beautiful. And after that, more south of that, you have the jungle. Now the jungle is very dense, and there's a lot of types of animals in the jungle. It's the southernmost aspect in West Africa before you head on to the Atlantic Ocean, which is just south of that. So I hope you all enjoyed the geography of West Africa. Back to you, other Soria. Thank you, Soria. That geography was very good. You did an amazing job. All right, now we need to cut to third Soria because he needs to cover the empires, the three major empires of West Africa: the Ghana, the Mali, and the Songhai. Hello, it's me again, and thank you for introducing me. It's me, Third Soria, and we're going to go over the first of the empires, the Ghana Empire. So, the Ghana Empire was in West Africa, of course, and the major important thing about it is it was between the Sahara and the southern regions. That is because in the Sahara, of course, there was salt. In the southern regions, there was gold. So in the empire, a huge trade of salt and gold emerged, going from one side of the empire to the other, or going through the empire. So the very clever emperor at the time decided, what if we could tax? Taxes sound like a good idea. So what he did is he taxed everything that goes into the empire and comes out. So the empire grew very rich. Now, let's explain how the empire actually started. The empire started when a bunch of Songhai tribes in the region banded together to form the empire. The major advantage over the other regions in the area was that they had iron tools. So what that allowed is for them to go and fight other people to gain land. So that's the rise of the Ghana Empire. Thank you. We'll cut back to you first, Soria. Pretty good. Don't you think that Soria number 3 did a good job? All right. So the Ghana Empire can't last forever, but it needs to fall because it's an empire and it doesn't exist anymore. So we're gonna explain how it fell and the Mali Empire started. The Mali Empire is pretty cool. So yeah. Sorry, number 1. As you said, the Ghana Empire really did fall. And the first part of its fall was when the Muslim Almoravids from the empire thought that they had to take control and it was their destiny. So they sacked the capital of Kumbi in, I believe, 1073. However, and they kept fighting and fighting. After 14 years of fighting, the Ghana Empire was severely weakened, and they also killed the king at the time. After they got the king back, the empire was so weakened that it couldn't last anymore. There were also problems in agriculture, like overgrazing. There were a lot of problems in the empire at the time, and well, it just couldn't last. So the empire just fell over. All right. Well, that's a sad end for the Ghana Empire. Next, we're going to talk about the Mali Empire. Okay, so you're telling me the Ghana Empire fell. So what came after the Ghana Empire, and how did it overthrow all of the remnants of the Ghana Empire that came before? Okay, cut back to you. Sorry, a number is we're at 4, right? We're at 4. Okay. All right. So the Mali Empire rose because of their first very powerful leader, and his name was Sundiata. So Sundiata, what he did was that he really agriculturalized the empire so that the same fate wouldn't happen to what happened to the empire before, which was Ghana, where overgrazing really damaged it. So Sundiata was a great ruler. He introduced new crops like cotton as well. Cotton was they really changed the region, and they could use it for a lot of things, like making clothes. So what Sundiata did was that to prevent rebellions like that happened in the Ghana Empire, which led to its fall, he took power away from local leaders. So, he took power away, and these local leaders sometimes had the title Mansa. So he just took all of their powers away, and now he was the only ruler of the Grand Empire. They also took the same advice from the Ghana and stuck to the salt and gold trade. Alright, hello, welcome to the part in the show where we do some interviews. So I'm about to dial up Sundiata right over here, and we're going to talk to him. Oh, hello. Hello, it's us. It's a local news company, and we would like to do some interviews. Okay, so the first question we would like to ask you, Sundiata, is what led you to the idea of agriculturalizing your empire? So I thought that agriculturalizing my empire might be a good step in case some food problems might have happened and everything might have fell behind. That was one of the reasons why the Ghana Empire fell before me. Next question. What led you to the idea of taking power away from the local leaders in the area? Because that's something that might be controversial. What led you to this idea? I took powers away from local leaders because I thought that if they had less of a second person, they could trust in my empire more and work together for me, not whoever their local leader was. Alright, thanks. Thanks, Sundiata. You've been a great guest on our show. I'm sorry you couldn't appear today. The pandemic is just destroying everything. You couldn't show up. So, well, we're going to talk about the Mali Empire. So, we're also going to dial up Mansa Musa after this one as well. I hope you're liking the interviews. So, Mansa Musa was the richest man who ever lived, and he was probably the best ruler of Mali as well. So, what Mansa Musa did is, or what he's famous for, is going on his very long Hajj all the way to the Mecca. On his way, he actually broke Egypt's economy because he spent so much gold and gave so much gold away to everyone else. And his Hajj was one of the biggest in the world. He himself brought hundreds, thousands of more people along with them, of course, to go with them. Many camels, many everything, many soldiers. He brought everything with them all the way to Mecca. And he was also a devout Muslim, as you could probably tell from what I'm telling you over here. Alright, and now it comes the part where we have to dial him up, so let's do that, shall we? How long do you think it's going to be before he picks up? Oh, my phone's ringing. Oh, hello. Hello, man. Mansa Musa. We're at we're your local news station. We would like to interview you about your grand empire and your Hajj. So, first we're gonna talk about how did you get so rich? So, um, I gained power using the same salt and gold trade that came from the Ghana Empire before me. And another question I have for you is, um, what important things did you do on your Hajj? I brought so many things with me because I wanted protection from my soldiers, and I also wanted to show the world the riches of Mali so that we could spread the idea of Mali being a place of education so other people can visit us. Alright, thanks. Bye. So, it turns out Sundiata is very nice. Alright, so, but what happened to his empire? What happened? What was the fall of the Mali Empire and the rise of the next empire? What happened in between? And what was this Mali Empire like? Let's find out. Alright, another thing that Mansa Musa is famous for is annexing the city of Timbuktu into his empire. And he made those two cities major hubs of education and commerce. He turned those cities, which used to be just normal cities, and he made them the grand jewel of the empire, although they weren't his capital. The city of Timbuktu flourished way after his empire, even though, because it could support itself in the other empires. It was so advanced. The city of Timbuktu still exists today, except it's nothing of what it used to be. It's just a shell. Right, so as you can see, the Mali Empire was pretty big. But how did it collapse? Well, it didn't really collapse. It just kind of weakened and weakened and weakened until it was no more. What came after, though, was the Songhai Empire. The Songhai Empire, organized under the famous leader Sunni Ali, was one of the greatest of West Africa, and also the last major West African medieval civilization, or classical civilization. Okay, so Sunni Ali, he was famous for gathering control of his empire and making him the most central figure in the empire. He took away lots of local leaders, like the other leaders did, but instead, this time he put governors in place, and to make sure everyone in his empire worked together, he also created the state religion of Islam. He was also a Muslim himself. The area before that was very diverse in religion and language. So centrifying the area really helped the empire. And the empire flourished for very long. Remember what I said earlier about the Mali Empire and Timbuktu and Jenne? Well, that was just the start. Timbuktu and Jenne were now super flourishing under this empire. The famous Sankore University was also established there, which became one of the best universities in the world at the time. And yeah, the Songhai Empire definitely was one of the best. Sadly, we cannot dial up Sunni Ali this time because, of course, time zone differences. He couldn't make time for us. So, well, we can't dial him up, so I guess you're just going to have to listen to me. Well, so we did a lot, and now we're back to me sitting in the chair with my globe. So I'm just going to say, the next thing we got to do is cover the culture of the West African regions. Oh, it's me, Mansa Musa, and the reporters of the news channel gave me this segment to talk about African culture because they couldn't get the call to last long enough, long distance calling, you know what that is. So our West African clothing was sewn in thin horizontal stripes on cotton, and cotton was really important in our culture because Sundiata, one of the first kings of Mali, they planted a lot of cotton and maximized agriculture in the area. Another thing is their art. Art is pretty important in our society. There's some pieces of art were used in prayer. They would make statues of humanoids and other things, but in wood, and they would use them in prayer. Sometimes they would make masks of animals, and then they dance around the fire with them and make them look fierce as it would in the reflections. Telling stories was also pretty important, so you could pass down history. And telling stories is also a very nice pastime. Uh, Singing and dancing in our culture is almost as important as our actual art in our culture as well. So, it's very important. Thanks for coming to my segment. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. All right.